ziua, suntem la Mobile World Congress 2017.
Vă prezentăm pe telecomtv.ro cele mai noi lansări ale industriei.
So I'm very pleased to be here today to address you to talk about AT&T's 5G trial and testbed overview. At AT&T, we think about 5G not as a single event, but really as an evolution. And so, as Dino pointed out earlier, from a 3GPP perspective, 5G makes up not only the 5G new radio, but the evolution of our LTE technology. And when we think about the non-standalone applications that we believe will be necessary in the United States based on millimeter wave spectrum being the first band that gets introduced, we certainly are working hard to evolve the LTE network and the capabilities of that. But today I'm going to focus specifically on AT&T's efforts with regard to 5G new radio. So many of us have seen a chart like this that talks about the components of 5G new radio with the enhanced mobile broadband, the critical IoT, ultra-low latency, and the massive connectivity. Right now, in the early use cases, most of the use cases kind of go down that right axis between the enhanced mobile broadband down to the low latency applications. At AT&T, we certainly are looking at and performing tests to observe the capabilities and the enhancements from a broadband perspective, both from a speed and a low latency perspective. But we're uniquely positioned because of our DirecTV assets, our video assets, to go and take video content and put it on top of that. And so we've already demonstrated over 39 gigahertz together with one of our partners, our DirecTV Now product over that. When we think about 4K video, that's a crucial use case in the consumer space. As we take a look beyond video, augmented reality, cloud computing, industrial automation, these are all things that will progressively work to test in our different user trials and pilots that are upcoming. So as many have already talked today about the standards themselves, we see the standards as being the proving ground. And so there's a lot of work that's been going collectively across with the industry partners, both here in the room and others, to develop a unified standard. And as many have said, it's important that we have a unified standard to get to a unified ecosystem that helps all of us deliver not only new capabilities, but new services on top of those capabilities. And so one of the things that we at AT&T have been very focused on is our trial and test bed that supports the efforts and goes aligned with it. I get a lot of questions of how is it that you can be testing 5G if the standard is not yet done. The fact of the matter is there's a lot of components of the standard that are already well known, and they continue to evolve. And so with our partners, we are able to go and continuously update our systems to test the capabilities to help guide our positions that we then feed into our standards positions as others have mentioned as well. And so with that, we've got experimental test beds with multiple phases. We've already entered into some early friendly user trials where we believe we're one of the first in the industries to work with a business customer to go and trial business applications on top of a 5G new radio capability. We'll continue to expand that into pilots and then ultimately as we look towards the commercial networks as the standards are done and as based on the unified standard we have product both from a silicon and an infrastructure perspective that will allow us to have early product that we can start to do pre-standards commercial testing as those early products come and then as they mature very rapidly enter into standards compliant commercial operation. From a phase perspective, if you think about phase one, it really is talking about from 600 megahertz all the way up to 40 gigahertz. It is, as we mentioned before, the use cases which we're testing and the capabilities, both non-standalone in drop 1 of phase 1, and standalone, which will come in drop 2. As was mentioned by the previous speaker from China Mobile, having both of those capabilities, both non-standalone and standalone, those are very important from an ecosystem perspective. Phase 2 will continue to build upon that, and as has been previously highlighted, is when that all comes together, that will become the full capabilities that we then can build upon as we move forward from there. So as I mentioned earlier, in the U.S., the FCC has already identified bands. The licensed bands have been identified as 28 gigahertz. That basically has 850 megahertz available, as well as the 37 and 39 gigahertz bands that each have 200 megahertz block sizes for complete availability of 2.4 gigahertz. And so as we think about the trade-offs from a millimeter wave perspective, what you see is we have access to much more spectrum, albeit at a much higher frequency. And so while we have gains and we can apply a lot of spectrum to get great capabilities, we have a lot of work to do to make sure that millimeter wave is something that we can deploy and have great quality experience across our network. The FCC has also identified unlicensed band support and shared access spectrum support. These bands, while not initially a focus, will come into play as we evolve and we mature the technology. So at AT&T, I like this to kind of show when we think about the testing, it really is a puzzle. The first thing that we have to do is we have to work together on our strategy, our standardization, which is a bunch of simulation and modeling to guide our positions, which we collectively, as an ecosystem, drive through debate and industry collaboration that define the standard. As I mentioned with millimeter wave, we have a lot of complexity that's unknown. It's new to us. When I think about enhanced mobile broadbands, a lot of people talk about, in the US specifically, fixed applications. At AT&T, it's not just about fixed. It's about fixed and mobile. And so channel sounding and measurements to understand the implications on the frequency through various phases. If you think about trees, with leaves, without trees, with rain, without rain, with ice, with snow. All of these have different impacts when we think about when we think about millimeter wave specifically. And we must test, we must understand it, and drive that not just into our consideration of standards and tests, but ultimately into the products that we'll deploy. From there we go to our test beds and feature prototyping. We've got multiple locations where we're doing a lot of this type of test, but ultimately that goes into friendly user trial and new services and application testing. For us, we really have three key areas of the initiative. As I mentioned before, the channel sounding and measurement. The purpose of this work is really is to develop the propagation and channel models that in AT&T's urban and suburban network. We've jointly collaborated with vendors to design and build the full millimeter wave channel sounder. When we started this work, there really wasn't one that allowed us to do the types of measurements. And so at AT&T, we went and jointly developed this with a partner. We're building in-house long-term channel measurement and characterization equipment. And ultimately, we're driving activity to collaborate so that, not only, to help AT&T, but help other operators and partners around the globe to take advantage. As I mentioned on the technology test bed, we're building several experimental test beds. Our major focus is on millimeter wave, but we've also tested sub-6 for 5G RAD. We've configured multiple macro and pico nodes. We've tested spectrum at 3.7, 15 gigahertz, 28 gigahertz, 39, and 73. We've got various advanced technology concepts which we've jointly developed in the test bed across our locations. Massive MIMO, millimeter wave self-backhauling, split architecture, and ultra-low latency. From there, we've got to go and measure the experience. It's important for us to get feedback from end users, so we can do a lot of stuff in the lab and we can validate that the technology works. But it really comes down to putting the technology in our customers' hands with applications that they know and love, and get their feedback, both from a business perspective as well as a consumer. And so as I mentioned before, we believe that we have the first enterprise friendly user trial using free standards 5G millimeter wave, and that's been completed last year. We've got a tremendous amount of work going into providing high bandwidth connectivity to home and businesses, with the first friendly user trial planned for April of this year. We have other trials that will also occur for various use cases that we'll announce as we make further progress. If I talk about our test beds and trial overview, we have one location in Middletown, New Jersey. We have 2 locations in Austin, Texas. The status of them is we've got basically 2 multi-site large test beds that are functional, with a third under development and construction today. We've got mobility testing, we've got roof mount, and we've got line of sight rings testing of millimeter wave. If we think looking forward, we've really got to drive UE specific. We've got to talk about tight integration with sub-6. Ultimately, we'll have to get the millimeter wave 5G new radio integrated with the existing LTE radios. Self-backhauling, if we think about the high bandwidth demands and the locations, the number of nodes, self-backhauling is critical, and we're doing a lot of testing in that area. As you deploy more nodes, you must have flexible and reconfigurable architecture, so we're doing a lot of work in automation and open access with various organizations and partners. In the end, mobile edge computing and low latency applications to drive a whole new way of thinking about the architecture. If we think about our friendly user trials, I mentioned the 4K video streaming, 4K video downloads. We have Oculus applications. Oftentimes we talk about the consumer, but frankly, businesses are equally important. We've already tested in our previous friendly user trial and continue to optimize for email, VPN, video conferencing, and Skype for Business. Two-way camera image transmissions for, in this case, AT&T Connect is a video conferencing solution. Speed test, we've achieved gigabit, basically gigabit speeds, average throughput, both in the downlink and the uplink, with latency end-to-end at 19 milliseconds. The RAN itself was 2 milliseconds, which those that have been around a while, those are some pretty impressive. Comparatively, Wi-Fi was effectively half those speeds. The node, when we talk about a gig, the application layer throughputs were limited to a gig because we only had a gig backhaul. We've done tests that show 14 up to 14 gigabit bits per second, but in this case, for the friendly user trial, we had a backhaul limit. I mentioned about our channel sounding and propagation measurements. We've done propagation measurements and channel characterization efforts, and they continue in our Middletown and Austin. The key thing here is we're doing long-term environmental characterization as well as the 3GPP model extraction from the live network. This is very important, as I mentioned, as conditions change, as the seasons progress. The characterization, the characteristics of the channel, we see a lot of differences. And so through our capabilities with our channel sounder, we're actually able to capture this on a real-time, very high-speed, very low-latent basis, which allows us to do characterization that would otherwise not be possible. We've effectively used an FPGA-based MIMO system with a phased antenna array, which allows us to get high speed and high system gain of 170 dB. And so we're very proud of this capability, and again, something that's developed initially within AT&T Labs and is being progressed through partnerships. And I think that was my last slide, and so I just want to thank you guys again for the opportunity to come and address the audience. From a unified standard to a unified ecosystem, that's the effort that we all collectively need to do. Thank you.